to see what's up. Chat overlay. Let me see if that works.
I don't wanna play those games.
1, 2. I wish I had my other phone. I might have to ask Ellie to get my other phone. Yo, so let me see. We are live. Clubhouse Convo. Shout out to everybody coming in. Shout out to everybody wherever you are. Yo, I mean, I just wanted to, first of all, full disclosure, testing out the software, seeing some of the things that we can do to be creative, what we could do to spark conversation. And I mean, that's part of this. There might be a simpler way to do this stuff, which we'll figure out. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. Okay. But we did want to have the discussion because I don't know. For me, I'm just noticing that people's belief systems are very different. I know how it was for me growing up and just my personal belief systems and the things that I grew up just believing, not just by what people said, but also by, just my experience. And you know what I mean? Like in terms of life, you know what I'm saying? In terms of, seeing how my parents functioned, in marriage, seeing how I mean, a lot of couples,
How my
parents back in the day function. You know what I mean? So, you know, and just hearing a lot of the discussion that I'm hearing from people today is just having me thinking like, yo, is there still a such thing as the one? Like, is that a foreign concept? Is that something that people no longer hold true to? Like, is that just like, fairy tale thinking now? Or like, do people still believe in that concept of the one? You know what I mean? So I want to pose that to those of y'all who are checking us out. And I'm gonna open it up for discussion. Um, Even now, for those of us who are here, like, yo, do you, a foreign concept, believe in the one? Shout out to my boy Del Castro. You always, I mean, one of the dopest up and coming artists. You know what I'm saying? 13 years old, game changer, Wellington, Delaware. I see you. You know what I'm saying? But yo, I want to ask, like, yo, do y'all believe that there's one person for you? You know what I mean? Let's talk. What's up?
That there's one person for you.
Yeah.
I believe that. I think that like as a child, you believe that, oh, there may be just one person for you. But then as you look as like people, widowers, and they find someone who fits the next circumstance that they're in,
Mm-hmm.
like I believe that there's a lot of people for you. You just have to, I don't know, make the right decision of the person that's for you for the season that you're in. If that makes sense.
Nah, you got to break that down somewhat. So you're saying that no?
I don't know. I feel like yes and no.
Okay.
I'm torn. I feel like it's more of a yes and a no. Yes, because we see like with my parents, they've been married for over 40 years and been together since they were 15. And like you look at it and you say, that's the person for my mom, that's the person for my dad,
Mm-hmm.
and then you say, God forbid, if there was anything that ever happened to either one of them, I would want for them to find love and companionship again.
Okay.
So that's where I feel like I'm torn between, like, is there just one person for you, or is there multiple people for you that you have a chance to meet, that in the meeting you make the decision of this is the one I'm going to spend my time with. Are you following what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because then if there was only one person specifically meant for you, then that just means that all of the widowers would still be would not find a companion later on. And we know a few people who have married and who have lost their spouse, and then they found love again, and you're excited for them for that new adventure. Then that also means, like, hey, if you do meet someone and you marry them and it doesn't work out, then that would be it. You know, so I feel like there are multiple paths for you. You just have to pick the one that's best for you, and then work that out.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the way you broke it down, but like, does it change, or does it matter the situation? Like, does a person come in to a situation saying, you know what, I'm marrying this person, but they're not the one, or does it change? You know what I mean? Like, is it a dual mindset, or is it circumstantial? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's one thing after your spouse. Go ahead.
No, I believe that when you make a decision to commit to someone, and then you make a covenant vow with that person, then you do whatever you need with that person who you made that vow with to make it work. But like, I'm not saying for people to stay in relationships that are where they're being abused emotionally or physically or anything like that. But you do what you make a commitment, you say a vow, you make a covenant, and that's the person who you decided that you're going to spend the rest of your time with. Now, if things don't end up working out later on, at least you could say I gave it my all, and then move on to the to find greener pastures. It's like the same way, like, I don't want to say like a job, but you know, we go through different. No, I'm not gonna say that. I don't think that's it.
Well, what you gonna say?
I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna put that on the shelf. I'm gonna pause.
Okay.
That one. And then I just want to see, we have more people in the room, just see what other people want to say about that. Do you believe in the one, or do you believe that there are multiple ones? You know, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm gonna reserve my thoughts for just for a second. But Coach P, what do you think?
I definitely want to reserve my thoughts. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there is a one that when you guys can come into agreement to spend, um, the rest of your lives together, then you guys become the one. You know what I'm saying? I think that the difficulty is finding alignment with that person to see if, like, you guys can really make it the distance. And there's so many people that, like, you thought this person was the one, and it ended up like totally different. So I feel like it's hard to say, like, yo, there is a one for you, because we're always changing and we're always growing and maturing, and, like, the person that you made a decision to be with may not be the same person 10 years from now. So, like, it's like you can have the one, but like, are you guys gonna stay in one in order to make it the distance?
Yo, shout out to JC. He said, I think the answer to that question is based on your viewpoint on marriage. Okay. Break that down some more, JC. I'm interested to see where you're going with that. Who else we got in the room? We got Khalil. What up, what up, KK? We got Tosh. We got Tay. You know what I mean? Like, if y'all want to come up and share your opinions, you know what I'm saying? I just I had that question I wanted to pose out to the folks. So, you know, y'all know what it is. Like and I mean, part of the reason why I wanted to ask this question because, you know, like I've been kind of, you know, sneaking in a few different clubhouse rooms and like hearing certain conversations, and it's just so funny to me what people think about love. You know what I'm saying? Like what they think about like people's viewpoint, not just on marriage but on relationships, and how it seems as though like some of those kind of fundamental things that, you know, I believed growing up, it's like people are like done with that. You know what I'm saying? Like people are kind of like, yo, that fairy tale stuff that, you know, trying to get married or like all that stuff, like that's not reality. You know what I mean? So, you know, that had me pose the question like, yo, like, do people still believe in the one? And then also, like, if they don't believe in the one, how much of that has to do with maybe how they grew up or maybe some of their life experiences that have kind of maybe showed them that, yo, I mean, I can't believe in love because my parents you know, aren't together, you know, maybe, you know, they were in multiple relationships. Like, I don't know, but how much of how you grew up do you think plays into your belief of the one?
I think that it has a crucial part in what you believe concerning the one. I know that I think it's like between your perception and then the reality of things. Like, okay, let's say, for instance, like I said earlier, our parents met when they were 14, 15 years old and were high school sweethearts and got married at 18 and 20 and had a family, and they've been together ever since, right? So growing up in that being the perception of what I personally believe what is to be the norm. This is what normally happens because that's what happened within our household and in our family. But the reality is that's not the norm. that's not the norm. The also reality is that sometimes I think like you need to have a clear. I'll just talk about me personally. In my mind, growing as a teenager, I thought the same thing would be my reality. Our parents' reality would be my reality.
True.
Would be like, oh, I'll meet my husband or my soon-to-be husband or whatever it may be in high school, the same way like mom and dad met each other, and then we'll get married and we'll have a family, and you know, all of those different things like that. Not saying that that's something that I still would like to happen, but the reality is that their walk and the way that their romance happened and everything happened is not, to some people, it's not the norm. So sometimes you can have that can have like a crushing effect when it doesn't happen in your reality. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like now you have to make an adjustment. So I think that I believe that the way people view love, the way they're introduced to love, the way they're introduced to relationships definitely does shape and mold their view on how they look at it. And then everything happened is not with what they go through and their interaction with relationships would definitely shape whether or not they believe that there is the one, or if they just believe that there are multiple ones and you just keep trying on those shoes until you find the right fit that matches what you want.
Yeah, I think that's probably part of the that's part of the reality of growing up, is that, and again, I think it works on both sides. You know what I mean? So whether or not your parents were together, whether or not your parents weren't together, yeah, like seeing their story, like definitely will influence kind of how you see things and how you might believe things are gonna happen for you. But like ultimately, at some point, like it's gonna become about like you gotta find your path. You know what I mean? So like whether it was your parents together or your parents wasn't or whatever, like you still have to begin to walk in whatever your reality is. But again, like, you can't discount the fact that what you saw growing up probably really impacted your perspective or your approach to like relationships, or what you think a relationship should be.
But yeah, I think that it definitely impacts, because that's how you see the environment in which you grow up is how you see it, different people interact. You get your viewpoint on love based on that. You have what you see on TV, you have what you see within your household, and you have what you see in the community of different people that you're around. So if you see at times dysfunctional relationships, not saying that you're going to be someone who has dysfunctional relationships, but it may cause you to believe like, oh, that this is the norm, and that I don't believe in love, I don't believe in this, I don't believe in that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the environment that you grow up in definitely shapes your viewpoint on love, shapes your viewpoint on relationships, and shapes your viewpoint on how you interact with people.
Mm.
I also think you can't negate the kind of like cinema, you know what I'm saying? Like the way love is portrayed in relationships, and the way that we watched it growing up. Those things play a role in what you desire to see and what you desire to be a part of. And one thing that we never noticed, even as kids growing up and watching movies, listening to songs, that like we always root for the person who's narrating the story, and we don't think about the other factors that are in there. So most love stories have like somebody who lost. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, like there was a relationship that started. There was tragedy in that relationship, and maybe that person went to somebody else, and then they end up cheating on that person with the person they originally wanted, because now they're back. You know what I'm saying? Or like the guy in the movie has to win the girl back from another guy who did nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like, yo, those are kind of like the stories and the ideas. Like, yo, this is the person, and it doesn't matter like what the process is to getting them back. I'm getting them back. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. So there are winners and losers, and we don't often consider the loser because we so caught up in the person winning.
Right, we so caught up in like the narrative, like, yo, they supposed to be together, and not thinking about like who loses, or who are the victims and the people that experience pain in their story. You know, so a lot of times, like our perspectives in relationships and love, like it's flawed because of like what we know. You know what I'm saying? Like what's been presented to us. Even when you think about your favorite love songs, like a lot of them joints is like, yo, this is kind of like shadiness. You know what I'm saying? like us, you're like, yo, you make me want to be the one, like to start a new lead the one I'm with to start a new relationship with you. Like we love saying that, but what about the one you with? Like that's what's wrong with her? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like she loses in this. You know what I'm saying?
You're so, like, my little secret.
You know what I'm saying? Like we like, because the person is telling the story is the one with the leading influence. We don't think about all of the factors and all of the people that are hurt in the process until we become somebody who's hurt in somebody else's process.
Yeah, I mean that's why low key, like I felt like Snow White was just wrong, because I'm sure one of them dwarfs really liked her, and they did a lot for her, man. And for her just to leave with homeboy.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
Nah, but I mean, like, it's true though, man. It's true, bro. My thing is this, like, yo, I feel like everything boils down to what you believe. It's what you believe. You know what I mean? It's what you believe. It is what you believe. Okay? If you believe that there's one for you, then you're gonna be on the search for that one. And if you believe that you found the one, then you're going to like treat that like that's the one. If you think that that's not the one, you know what I mean, then you're gonna go accordingly. Like it boils down ultimately to what you believe. Tay, what you say?
That's facts. That's facts. I don't know what else to say, but like if you said the truth.
All right, KK, what you say?
Hey, family.
Hey, KK.
Now you already know, like the way I think is a little bit on the crazy side.
Let's go. Take us there.
No. I'm just saying, like, I understand what you guys are saying, like, basically your perspective, especially how you've grown up.
Uh-huh.
So, my situation with my family is similar to your guy, your family. Mm-hmm. But for me, I feel like there could be multiple people that could be the one, mm-hmm. because I feel like we, as people, we don't, you're not, there's billions of people on this earth. I have a friend of mine who found the one across the country, and actually not across the country, across the world. And she got married to him, and they weren't even living in the same state, same country. So I just feel like, there could be multiple people that could be the one. I just feel like, we don't date like that. So, you're only like whoever you're presented, whoever you're around, and whoever you interact with within your circle or circles. Mm-hmm. I just feel like when you're young, that's your time to date and to meet different people from all over, because you just never know who's going to be the one. So, yeah, but yeah, I think there's multiple people that could be the one.
So here's my question. Can a person believing in the quote unquote one hinder them from like experiencing potential love because they're waiting for the quote unquote one? Oh man, yeah, you come up here as a speaker. Come on up. Shout out to D Web in the building.
What's up, Al?
What's up, man?
Family? I had to get on this.
Yes.
I had to get in on this conversation.
Yes.
Because this is one that me and my wife, we talked about a lot. So I think when I was a Christian single, I think long time ago, there was a message by Pastor Miles Monroe, God rest his soul. He talked about this. He talked about a unique perspective on looking at Adam and Eve and how God presented Eve to Adam. Mm-hmm. And it was Adam's choice at that point to accept her and to take her as his wife. And his whole point of framing it that way was to suggest that in our lifetime, we are presented with many wives and many husbands. The question is, are you ready to accept them when they're presented to you? Are you mature enough to take on that responsibility of taking on a husband or taking on a wife? And that really helped me out a lot, because I remember meeting a lot of different people who were beautiful people, brilliant in the Lord, in Christ. Family had all the, you got your checklist. And I just remember, that message because it helped me not to force the situation. You know what I'm saying? Uh-huh. There were times where I met women who went on to be other people's wives, right? But I was not ready to make her my wife. You understand? I think that even came like all the counsel that I got, because I would turn to the brothers of the church and I ask them like, yo, how did you know when you met the one? How did you know? And they would always be very cryptic. They never give you a straight answer. Like, oh, you know. Like,
they try to get in trouble.
Right, that's not really help me, fam. Like, say something. Is it like a signal? A scent? Something. They were never straight with me, man. But what it was is when I was ready, and it really hit me. When you are ready to receive a wife, and that person is presented to you, that's when it happens. But a lot of times you meet so many different people who are what we used to call like wife material or husband material. And that's the truth, right? They have all the stuff to be a good husband and a good wife. They just may not be your husband or your wife. And you got to know the difference. And you have to allow yourself. That's the other part of it was that when we get into this thing as at least for me, when I was Christian single, where we mess over people's lives and really damage them for their husband or for their wife.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like, yo, my bad.
I feel bad.
You know what I mean?
Whoever's next, my fault. But
raise the hand, congregation. We know we all did it. We all did it.
Slowly lifts hand up.
My Lord. The person you met is just recovering from the last saint that messed over her life because they thought that they were supposed to be together and they were the one and they were setting up and it didn't work out. So now you gotta recover her heart. You gotta repair those wounds or his wounds.
Right.
And that's why it's a train wreck. And it's a train wreck. I felt like when I was coming out of it, I felt it was a train wreck because we just have the wrong perspective. We're constantly looking and not looking outward. We're not looking inward. The real issue is, am I ready?
Am I the one? Am I the one? Like, I'm looking for the one, but am I the one? Like,
there you go. There you go. And that's the problem. It's always looking outside. Yo, is it her? Is it her? Is it her? No, is it you, dude? Is it you? Are you ready? And if that's the case, then, and at that point, when that happens, then you don't mess over people's lives. You get to the point where you're mature enough to say, you know what? We could be friends. Real friends. I can support you. I can help you. But I don't necessarily have to cross that line because I know that I'm not ready to be that person. So until I know, then I'm not even going to front like this is what this is.
Yo, I want to welcome, if I say your name wrong, please don't blame me, blame the public school I went to. I want to welcome Shalise in the room and Nafisa in the room. Also right here on stage, we have Stachel. How you doing, Stachel?
Hi, you did it correctly. You said my name correct. So.
I did? Let's go.
Yeah,
PS140. Let's go. Queens, Jamaica Queens, PS140. Thank you, Miss Anderson. Thank you, Miss Anderson. I appreciate you. So, yo, Stachel, what you think?
I was listening. Like, I definitely agree with D, I believe your name is, because I feel like I find myself in situations where I'm that person where they know I'm a good woman. They know, like, I'm a good thing to have, but because they know they're not ready to have that or to commit to that fully, they'll keep me around. Feel me? So it's just like, it's interesting to see in a men's perspective, because in a female perspective, it's like, all right, like, if you know I'm such a good person, then why you just can't level up, do what I'm asking you to do, And I feel like in this day and age, like a lot of men, they feel as though every woman are city girls. Every woman want to get flown out, Birkin bags. And it's just like, the materialistic stuff don't matter if emotionally, mentally, what I'm asking of you, you can't even provide that to me, So it was just interesting to hear a man's perspective on that as well. Because when you dating, it's a lot of, all right, well, I know she's good, so I'm going to keep her around type stuff.
Right.
And it's fucked up. It's bad,
Right. So let me ask you this, like, what becomes your posture like in that situation where it's like, all right, you want more, that you are equipped to be the one for somebody, but homeboy don't really know like where he want to go with it. So for you, like, is it like, all right, I'm gonna stick around, try to see when he catch up, like, or do you dip? Like, what becomes your like move or like your process in that kind of moment?
So like old me, I'm not gonna lie, I was I was a little dumb. Old me, old me was okay. I'm gonna change him.
Yes.
Because I just feel like females get into such a habit and so okay, well, this man isn't the type of man that I want them to be, but I'm willing to grow. I'm really big on that. I don't care if a man is broke as long as he has ambition. Ambition triumphs everything. So I find myself in, all right, well, even though he don't got it like that mentally or even financially, whatever the case may be, I'm going to still stick around. But then I realize I'm doing myself an injustice sticking around because now I'm settling, And it's like, who says in a year from now he'll be ready? 2 years from now, it's a waiting game. And it's just like, I always compare Waka Flocka and Tame's relationship or Jim Jones and and they're not even married yet. Or Tammy and Walker actually just got together. Married after a decade of being together because why? He kept cheating on her. He kept doing things he wasn't supposed to do in relationships. And it's just like, I don't have time to wait. I'm not, I don't have the time to stick around and just play this game of, well, when are you going to change? Like, life don't work like that.
So like, is there a time limit or like, do you like, what's the, for you, you know what I mean? And again, like this could help people. Cause again, like, yo, I know that sometimes, especially for bros, when bros don't know what they want to do, but they have a good thing, like dudes will string you along as much as possible, you know what I mean? Until they've kind of figured out, you know what I'm saying, like where they want to be with it, you know what I mean? So I'm always interested on a female's perspective. It's like is there a limit or?
But I think it's not even about a limit because I found myself in these situations a lot in the past. And what I realized looking back is I didn't stick around just because of my feelings as well as like my potential I seen in a man. It was also false hope, because men have a way of when you tell them what they're doing wrong, they'll fix it in the moment,
right?
But it won't be a permanent fix. So now it's false hope you're giving me. So every time when I want to leave now, I'm like, okay, well, when I spoke to him last time, he did it. So I know you could do it, but why are you not doing it? So it's in a matter of, is it a choice that you don't want to do it now? I'm not a really big advocate of mistakes happen, but it's also a choice, like, so it's just more of, I don't know how to explain it. It's just more of just like knowing your worth and walking away. But then walking away also, if you're giving me false hope, it's now doubting myself because I know you have it in you, but why are you not doing it? So mentally, it's like, what the hell am I doing wrong? It's legit a mental kind of manipulation, and it really messes with you mentally, and it's messed up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little messed up because you know the person have it in you, because when you speak about them and you tell them what's the issue, they fix it, but it's not a permanent fix. It's a temporary fix to kind of have you for the moment, you know? So
KK, what you think about those temporary fixes? Like, does that mean a guy is trying, but maybe he just ain't got it yet, or like what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're trying, but if a man knows what they want, they're gonna make that fix a fix, a permanent fix. So seriously, when you're messing with, when you're with men, you got to kind of observe and be observant as far as like their patterns and their behaviors. And so if they can say, anyone can say anything, but their actions, and not just their actions for that moment, but their actions, moving forward over time is very telling. So I feel like if you're in a relationship, as a woman, we're really great at observing our men. We really do make it a study. And it's really important. So we know certain things even before it's even done or it's even said. So I feel like if a man knows exactly what they want, and if they want a relationship, they want to be with you, then they're going to make a decision to do what it is that they need to do to make those fixes permanent. So, it just depends. It just depends on the guy.
But like, yo, do you feel like y'all women be pressuring dudes like to jump out the roof too soon? Like, You know what I mean? Like, you know, is the one more of a female concept? And let's say for us guys, like, it's like, we like, it's not that for us. Like, I mean, like, is the one a female concept? You know what I'm saying? Like, are y'all growing up believing that one day you'll find the one? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, Derek knows. I don't believe in like the one thing. I never subscribe to that.
Is shield expensive? Do I know that?
You know, yes, you do. We have conversations about this all the time. I never really subscribed, even when before we got married, like that wasn't my thing. And a lot of people on here pretty much know me, so they probably know, like, I just feel like, yes, is it a woman's thing? I hear that more from women.
mm-hmm.
Yes, I do hear that more from women saying, oh, I hope I find the one. Oh, do you believe there's the one out there for me? And then that's when I have to sit them down and be like, let me tell you something. They may not be the one. There is going to be the 2, 3, or 4 to figure out what the 80-20 rule looks like. If they got 80% of what you're looking for, then you better snatch that one up. The 20% you work with, you figure it out, you pray over it. Yeah, I do hear it more from women than men. But I think it's more of a fairy tale type of thing. Yeah. So
I mean,
go ahead, Wes.
Dudes really, we romantic too, man. You know, we're romantic at heart. So I'm sure we've all pictured like our perfect,
Halle Berry as the one.
Yeah, man. Claire Huxtable.
That's unrealistic.
Claire Huxtable.
Yes, come on.
You gotta have that dexterity, son.
Come on.
Do it out in the world and then hold it down at home. And so, yeah, guys come up with that in their mind. You know, we watched Cosby Show too, and we knew what we were looking for. But I think, yeah, I have talked to a lot of sisters, and I do know that in terms of like making it a point of emphasis, and if it causes them more issue in like settling down on where their heart wants to reside, yeah, I think that probably is more likely, the sisters, because I think for us, and I'm just speaking for me, but I think you fool around enough, after a while, you're just like, look, I can't be out in these streets no more.
Web, please talk for me, Web. Just talk for me.
You know what I mean? I can't. It's like I think it runs us. I think the wheels come off the track earlier for us. Like we just can't be out here because we just know it's not going to be good.
Wait. So are dudes? Are you saying that dudes get to a point where it's like, just let me find one? Like, it's not even about the one, but let me find one. And because listen, I can't be out there like that. Like,
I mean, unless you are wired to be out in these streets, you know what I mean, and be a Rolling Stone, I think we do want that. I think a man, like I said, I don't think the ladies are the only ones that like are majoring in romantic ideas.
Right.
I think we grow up with romantic ideas about like, being a husband, being a father, coming home, wife, kids, and building on that. So the picture is incomplete if you don't have somebody to hold you down. And after you working hard, you're trying to be the best you, and you come home and no one was there to hold you down or celebrate your wins, and help you with your losses. I think that's something that guys are come up with as well. I think it's in our mind. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely in our mind.
Yo, and again, I want to hold that clip, and I want you to talk, KK. Raja, I sent you an invite to come up. Shalice sent you an invite, so I sent everybody invites to come up and be a part of the discussion. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. I know Raja not shy, but let's come on up and join the discussion. And I'm really interested to see all the different perspectives. Shout out to Tiff who came up. Apparently she's tired. She got a hand on her head. I don't know. and Shalise is singing in the mic. Shout out to Shalise. And Roger is painting a picture. Everybody's doing something. Everybody's doing something amazing in their picture, so that's cool. All right, go ahead, KK. You was going to say something?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I totally forgot what I was going to say.
All right, yo. All right, I'm interested in hearing from Tay. Like, yo, Tay, as a younger guy, are you out there looking for the one, or is just a matter of like finding like a vibe? You know what I'm saying? Like, or is like the one like on your agenda when you out there like in these streets?
I would definitely say I'm looking for the one.
Okay.
That's why I kind of like took a step back from the dating game. I would definitely say what D said is exactly what I was doing. Like, I stopped looking for the outside, started looking within. And I realized that I had this idea of what love is, but I didn't know how to show it or give it. You know, and I was busy looking for it, but I wasn't willing to give it out. You feel me? So
why was that?
You said what?
Why was that? Like, why wasn't you like, you know what you was looking for, but you wasn't willing to give it out? What was that?
I guess like me, I'm big on astrology. So like my sign is a Scorpio. We have this all in or nothing mentality where we give you all of our love. And in the past, I've had girls actually like, you know, mess with that. So I kind of like was like, I'm not willing to go through that again. So I took a step back from it. Okay. All right. So that's interesting to hear from Tay in terms of like, yo, he actually is looking for the one, because I know with a lot of the younger dudes who, you know, I've been in conversation with, like that kind of looking for the one mentality in terms of like settling down like that, like it's not really prevalent. It might be, I'm looking for the baddest one, like to you know, to see what's up, you know what I mean? I'm looking for the baddest one, but like in terms of really like looking for the one in terms of settling down, like I don't see that mindset really prevalent in a lot of young dudes. Shalise, what's your thoughts on the topic and what you've heard thus far?
I think I'm on the other end of things. Like I do believe that as a person of faith, I believe that God has someone out there for me. And I believe that, you know, not looking, you learn to stop looking at everybody else and I'm just speaking from a faith-based perspective. And even if you're not a person of faith or you have different beliefs, you know, for me, it's like I'm looking to God and to learn love and to seek Him, and knowing that He will bring it around for who, you know, to align me with who is meant for me, if that's in His will. Now, I also will say that failed relationships, like, you know, in the moment, it could be very hurtful. They was talking about how, you know, he just really experienced opening up himself to people, and in the process, they took advantage of that. And that really, you know, helped to shape his view or how he sees things. And now he's kind of more so reserving that for the person who really is deserving of that. So sometimes, you know, the things that are allowed to happen in our life, even though we may hurt in the process, you know, you can look back and be like, well, thank God that it fell apart, because that person didn't really know what love is, or I didn't know what love is, or I didn't really know what I deserved or how to see myself or value myself or them. And I think somebody was saying that earlier, you know, I just, neither one of us was just in the moment to give or receive, you know, in the right way. And I'm 34, you know, and I know it's to the 60-year-old people, it's like, baby, you still young. But to the 21 and 18, you know, it's like, yeah, you kind of on the getting to your mid-30s and your early 40s. It's like, I've had my ups and downs. I've had a totally different type of experience in my life. And at this point, it's like, you know, I don't want anybody to waste my time. I turned 35 in September, 5 years from 40. I don't want anybody to waste my time. And I don't want to waste their time. I've had situations where I was talking with a minister dude. Dude was cool. You know, he came in like, you know, okay, you just need your man of faith. And, you know, we had good conversation and all this other stuff. And then I get a message at 1 a.m. in the morning talking about, do you like to kiss? Immediately got blocked. I don't have time for it. Because while we do want to experience certain things, if we're talking about being single and saved and trying to not fall victim to our flesh, like I want to experience things, but not at the sake of my sanity or my eternity. So I don't have time for it. So he got blocked. I had another guy who had reached out, and then I'm also trying to understand how to engage with men and things of that nature. I've had a totally different experience, so it's just different for me. And it's like, he reached out and, he said, hey, I like your smile. And he, began to start, chit chat and just small talk. And then, it just kind of was dragging. So I'm like, hey, what was your intention with reaching out to me? Was this a business opportunity? Was this ministry? Or do you want to go grab a virtual coffee? Like, what's up? What's going on? And I think that kind of turned him off. And my best friend is, I was like, you have such a business approach to stuff. And I'm like, because I need clarity. And it used to, and I'll say this last thing, I don't want to be long-winded on the mic. It used to scare me to see dominant men or and things of that nature. Because I have daddy issues and daddy wasn't there and all this different stuff that God is healing in me before I get into a relationship with anybody else. So God is really healing stuff in me and just exposing me to me before I try to step into anything. But now I'm like, please, I would prefer dominant man, alpha male. Please tell me, approach me with your intentions clearly. Hey, I saw you. I'm interested to get to know you more. Can we do this? A, B, and C. Even if your intentions aren't even the good, hey, I'm not interested in a relationship. I'm looking for this. That's great. I'm not the person for you, but I appreciate your honesty so you don't waste my time and I don't waste yours. So I don't know. Yeah.
Nah, that's good. That's interesting perspective. Tiff, what you think?
Hey, everybody.
You.
So, I don't believe that there is the one, meaning that there is only one person, on earth for you. I believe that, the more self-aware we become, the more prepared and equipped we are to make better choices about who we want to be the one. You understand?
Okay.
And that's my perspective. So, I feel like if you're more self-aware and if you know what it is that you're looking for, I think that there's more than one person that has that. But then on top of that, how you vibe with someone or, all of those things together. I just think that the more self-aware you are, the more prepared and equipped you are to choose someone that would be a good partner for you.
So like, how does the multiple ones theory work? You know what I mean? Because I understand being in search of the one, right? Like, does the theory of having multiple ones, again, like, can that play into, uncertainty, or can that play into like, okay, maybe you find somebody who's cool, but it's like, well, but there's multiple ones, like out of the multiple ones, are they all equal? Like, how does the multiple ones concept work? And anybody could chime in on that for those, because I've heard that a few times.
Well, I'll just go back to Miles Monroe's message. I'm sure you guys can pull it up on YouTube. But from his perspective, and I agreed with it when I heard it, it goes back to what you believe about God's intention towards you. Is God's intention towards you to tell you what you want or to allow you to grow up into, a maturity? It's like with children, right? Many of us on the call have are parents. We could tell our kids what they want, but at a certain point, you want to allow them to make their own choice. And hopefully they make an informed choice. In order for them to get to that place where they can make an informed and mature choice, you also have to let them make bad choices. And so I feel like when you take on this position that God, and we hear it all the time in Christian circles, God has somebody for you.
Right.
His will is ordained. It's like your activity either lines up with his will or it doesn't. But it doesn't mean he's going to stop you from making a bad choice. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times the reason why you're making a bad choice is because it's something inside of you. And so he'll let you rock out with that because it's like, if I told you what your issue is, you wouldn't believe me. So I got to let you see. Right. I got to let you see for yourself what your issue is. So I'm going to let you go through this mess so that you can see it more clearly. Because if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. So I just feel like it goes back to, how do we relate to God? If God is my father, then I would hope that he would give me, like my kids always tell me, Dad, do you trust me enough to make decisions. Now, in my head, I'm like, no, you are the worst person to lay any responsibility on or trust to do anything at any point ever. Right? In this moment. That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to try to build them up. But in this moment, so I'm like, but I got to hold that, though. That was me. That's my inside talk coming out, because I don't say that to them. Right. Because then they're like, oh, I'm never going to be right. No, the reality is I'm going to let you do it. But I already know as a father, as a parent, I already know what's going to happen. But I'm going to let you go through it because that's what you got to do as a parent. So I just feel like we don't take that, the romantic view of God has someone for me. It relinquishes our responsibility to grow up and grow into what he has for you.
And to jump
part of the process too. Oh, I'm sorry, love. Go ahead.
No, oh, okay. Thanks. To jump in on what D said, he mentioned the word maturity. So to your question, Elle, when you say, well, if there's like multiple the ones, right, then does that mean like, oh, you're not going to be able to settle down with one because there's always this idea that maybe there's someone else or there is someone else. So let me go and check. That goes to maturity because a mature person can identify someone that says, okay, this person is the one, and then the one for me. I see the qualities, the characteristics, the chemistry, whatever all of those things are, and then you make a decision. You say, okay, this is who I'm choosing to be the one for me right now. Like, this is my one right now. And you have to be mature enough to not, the moment something goes, upside down.
Be like, this ain't the one. I need the other one. Where's the other one?
Right. So I think that speaks to maturity. And I mean, I know, okay, right? But
I knew it. Where's my phone? I was waiting for you. Where the other ones?
But I hope I'm not being confusing because I'm using the one kind of interchangeably. But to be clear, I don't believe that there's only one person in the world for you, but I believe that you choose who the one will be for you.
So,
if that makes sense.
So after you've chosen that one, does that one become the one, or is there still room to find other ones?
It depends on if the one, act up.
Oh my God.
I do want to recognize and shout out everybody who's listening on Facebook. Shout out to Amanda. She said, whoever came up with this topic of discussion, thank you, because the girl is struggling in this area. I want to shout out JC. He said, I think the one concept, at least for me, boils down to, are we willing to go through seasons with each other? And if we no longer are willing to do that, we agree to go our separate ways. That person can be your one in that scenario, even though you are no longer together. There may not be another person out there like that for you. He said the question then is, if there are multiple people for each other, can you commit to them at the same time? Ooh, if there's multiple ones, can you commit at the same time? What's your think about that?
No. Big no.
It goes back to
that's a lot of work.
Maturity thing. It goes back to maturity.
Right. Definitely. It goes back to your level of maturity.
But also based on your belief, because there are people who are polygamists,
right? Right, right,
and they're trying to serve, all five as the one. So,
and I believe in certain cultures you can have more than one wife, but the requisite is like, can you support them? Not just economically, but emotionally. And I just think, And there's a lot of, opting into that. It's not like, oh, yeah, I'm the man and I'm going to take on these 5 wives. Like, no, they got to agree.
They got to agree.
Agreement is the place of power. So let's have this meeting.
We can use a few in this house. I need someone to cook. I need someone to help.
Okay.
We may need to,
listen.
Discussion. I can't do all of this by myself.
Right. Listen.
I'd like to ask a question.
Go ahead. Tay, before you answer your question, I want to welcome Gina. Shout out to Gina who just came up on stage.
That's my girl, Gina. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
Hey, hi, everyone.
Cool. All right, Gina, what's your hold that question, write it down, because we're gonna come back to that. Gina, what are your thoughts on what you've heard and the topic thus far?
It's crazy. I was literally just talking to a friend of mine on this, and then Ms. Webster just pinged me because I haven't been on Clubhouse in a while, and it's just funny. We're kind of talking on that subject matter. I've been in some peculiar predicaments. I've been in some entanglements, as Jada would say.
Come on, Jada. Come on. Give us language.
I've seen it all. Been through a lot of different scenarios. And I honestly was on the fence about monogamy until I met my fiance.
Go ahead, fiance.
Yes. And he changed my mind. Like, I was just telling my girls, like, not only is he fine, but the way he loves my daughter and everything like that. He's just honestly everything. And he just made me change my mind. Like,
how did he? I need to know how. How did he change your mind?
I honestly didn't see myself settling down. I was very, I worked in the industry. I've dated different people. Like I said, I've been in entanglement situations. I've been in all kinds of crazy scenarios. And, I had doubts about monogamy. I've been in situations where I've been lied to. I've been in situations where I found out I was another person in someone's life. Like, I've been through it all. So I really question monogamy, because I think, sometimes people can have more like feelings for other people. But I think once you meet your person, if you're committed to that, you're going to be committed to it. And like I said, I literally crossed oceans to make sure I reunited with my other half. And, we're getting married hopefully next month. We're just...
Ooh, come on.
Yeah, because,
come on.
Because of COVID, we're doing like a 2-part thing. Because right now I'm doing work in the Caribbean, trying to get my product line out here and stuff like that. And
nice.
He was already working here, so we're probably going to do something here and then do the other part at home. Because like our immediate family's not even here. Like I have some family here, but like our parents aren't going to be there. Our siblings aren't going to be there. But you know what? We just decided after this COVID restrictions and being apart physically for a year and a half, we don't want to be separated from each other again, and
come on, the closer I get to
and during that separation, I told him, and that's why he thought, she crazy, like, does she not care? I was on an off and on situation when I met him, and he, once I met him, I knew that was over, because the other person used to have a hold on me, and I honestly, we had crazy chemistry, everything. And honestly, when I met my other half, the day we met, we talked about marriage. We knew we wanted it. Yeah, so it's just different.
So, like, what was it about? What was it? Was it his smile? Was it the conversation? Was it the vibe? Like, what made it like, yo, you could cut off the entanglements and like, yo, this right here, this guy, like, is something like what was it? And go ahead.
You know what? He is a beautiful man. If you see him, he actually is fine on all levels. But that wasn't even it, because the person I was talking to before was super sexy and fine. You know what I mean? It was honestly, my soul felt at peace instantly with him. Like it was his vibe. He wasn't saying all the right things to convince me of anything. He just felt like my peace. And every time I try to explain this to people, and the joke is, before I even met him, I used to say, the way I was going on, I was like, not sure about marriage. I said, but don't be surprised if I can meet someone and know within a month if I want to marry them. But the difference is, I met him in the one day I knew he was my person.
Wow.
So
that's beautiful. Yo, shout out to Gina, man. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
Hey, Gina.
Thank you. That's beautiful. And shout out to everybody getting married during COVID. Listen, get it done. You know what I mean? I'm in support of love. Get it done. Zoom it. And when everything dies, we could get back together and invite everybody. But get it done. You know what I mean? And, be with your person,
I think once and I've never been married, obviously, before or anything. He's never been married before.
Nice.
And again, I had, I'm not against marriage. I think there's some very beautiful marriages. And I also think that some people focus on weddings instead of a marriage, right?
Come on.
For me to be married, I needed to see certain characteristics. I dated people in the industry and stuff too. So, you have a lot of playboys out there. You have girls fighting for certain attention and different things like that. And it's just, you get used to behavior that you realize is actually toxic for you in the long run. You know, you get accustomed to, oh, he's probably talking to more than one girl, and just putting that in the back of your mind. And I had to grow within this relationship because it was really hard for me to accept that this man genuinely is this amazing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I had that same problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, like he treated me so well. Like, it's not to say he went above and beyond to like do cheesy stuff or anything.
Right.
He would, you know, if he said something, he's true to his word. And the thing is, it was hard for me to believe some of that because of doubts in my mind from previous situations. Because you think someone's fake with you if they're being genuine. You know?
Right. Yep.
So you discover that you need to work on your own toxic traits and realize you have some scars there from previous situation. And, you know, it's night and day between him and, like, my daughter's father. You know what I mean? And my daughter's father was a messed up kind of situation that I won't really get into. But honestly, my fiance just, he really is amazing. He's beautiful inside and out. He's just as beautiful inside as he is on the outside. Like I said before, he's fine. You know what I mean? But it wasn't just his looks. That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, I'm getting a lot of hate and shade because of this situation, just because he is that amazing.
Welcome. You know what I mean? Like, that's how, you know, haters gonna hate. You know what I mean? Haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you live your truth. You know what you're experiencing, and I think the biggest thing is that you guard that thing. You know what I mean? Like, you make sure you know you guys set up the right, you know, protection over what you guys are building, and not allowing anybody or anything to come against that, you know, because a lot of people will bring their own, try to inject their own things onto what you're building. You know what I mean? And like, you know what you got, girl, you know what you got. So don't, you know what I mean?
People that are close to are even talking to me or responding to my calls and stuff like that because their life's not going the way that they want, and they can't even face me. That's how bad it is. And you know, when we were apart, like I said, I was getting over an on and off situation. So when I met him, I wasn't even sure. Like, I was like, you know, am I crazy for feeling the way that I did? But as much as it's, like I said, the previous person had a hold on me, that instantly faded when I met my other half. But because we were physically apart, because he was working abroad, I told him, I was like, you know, we're not even in the same space. We're not even in the same country. It's not like he's in New York. I could just take an hour flight. There was quite some distance in between. So I said, you know, until we're in the same space, we can't have unrealistic expectations. You know, there's going to be temptations, and I didn't want anyone to feel guilty or bad. And I'm the one who put that out there. And he thought, okay, this girl obviously doesn't care. You know what I mean? Because most females aren't going to tell their dude, if you date, I'm not going to be jealous about it. Because I honestly am not a jealous person, you know? And I'm pretty secure with myself. So, I mean, I'm sure he had enough girls in his face, and maybe had a couple of situations. We just don't talk about it because once we got in the same space, we knew where we
know what it was. Yeah. That's what's up. That's what's up. Dante, you had a question, so I definitely want to get to your question that you wanted to pose to the room.
All right. Do you think the people you believe are the one teach you a life lesson or prepare you for the right one?
Anybody can hop in on that.
I think it's all of the above. I think every person we meet, whether it's an actual relationship, a friendship, or even like in the workplace, you know, our experiences shape us so we grow into our best selves. And not everything's going to be pretty along the way. But the ugliness, it's better to see it now so you can embrace the good when it comes.
Nah, that's good advice. That's good. The one. You're the one for me.
Hell, what do you believe? I don't know. You may have said it before I came on.
He didn't say anything. He said he was going to he was going to wait. Right. He never even said his thing. Right.
Oh, man. Well, unfortunately, that's our time, man. We're going to head out to
Sorry, that is not your time. You better tell us.
Yo, all right. Yo, the reality is, I think that there is one. I think there's one.
Explain.
Oh, well. I think.
Say that and then log off.
You want to know my answer, and that is my answer. I think that there's one, and I mean, this is why I think, like, a person's beliefs, really kind of set their life, like, in motion. You know what I mean? So, like, like, for me personally, I believe that there was one. You know what I mean? And I think that in life, maybe I might have assigned that one to different people. Like, okay, is that the one? You know what I'm saying? Is that the one? Is that the one? But, like, my mindset of believing that there was one kind of focused my, like, attention. You know what I mean? So I was never, like, for myself, like, I was never in a space where I was dealing with, like, two females like that. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it was like, I was looking for the one. So it's like, okay, is this the one? All right, that's the one. You know what I'm saying? So I was really looking for the one. And again, I feel like just that belief kind of helped my focus. And then it was like, for me, in my truth, like, once I found the one, like, I'm living in that reality of being with the one. You know what I mean? And everything that my belief supports with that. You know what I mean? So, like, for me, in finding the one, that meant, like, this is the one. Two, that also meant, like, there aren't others. You know what I'm saying? Three, it meant, like, this is going to work out. You know what I mean? Because, like, this is the one. You know what I mean? And again, I think that those values that I had that were echoed in my one, like, now we are in the process of living that belief out. So I think a lot of it comes down to, like, what you subscribe in terms of your belief. You know what I mean? Whether that belief is based in your faith, whether it's based in, something that you read, you know what I mean? Like, whatever you believe is going to, like it's going to become your reality. So for me, I believed in the one, and I think that's the reality I'm experiencing, if that makes sense.
Hello, you guys. I'm kind of late to the party.
What up, CR?
How y'all feeling?
Good, man.
So I'm hearing from you guys. Look at the title, and I never believed in the one until I got married, and it took, I went through a fine road. It wasn't beliefs for me. It was just being a product of my environment. It was cool to have multiple women. You put people on a chopping block. You're trying to search for the one. Don't get me wrong, but I never believed in just dating one person. And I gave multiple women different shots, and this person does this better than this one, so you start to go over here. So for me, at an early age, I never saw myself getting married until I did find the one, and that one, it was, y'all know how it was when Shakira came into the family. I'm out of town and telling her to go to the house with y'all, and I was 30 years old when this happened. So I never believed in the one. I believed in just, hey, I'm single, I'm sinning. So at that time, my belief in God, it was, substantial. I had a guideline, but it wasn't to that extent how Larry was. Him and I grew up together since kids, the babies, as cousins, and he was searching for that one. And for me, I'm like, not me. I'm trying to get my rocks off. That's it. That's it. I don't want no family, all this other stuff. Because to me, I thought it was cool just to have multiple women. Until you get older, you realize, nah, man, it's really about having the one. Someone you can count on, and when you get sick or you need somebody to take care of you, or finances, you need to, if you fall on hard times, they there to carry you. So in that aspect, for me, I asked God. I ain't gonna lie to you. I prayed for my wife. When I was sitting in my cousin's house, her house down in Atlanta, I partied my behind off, and I sat here and I said, okay, I'm tired. I said, I'm tired. God, please, send somebody my way that's going to be equally yoked as me. And sure enough, within 2 months, 3 months, so the power of prayer works, and I do believe in the one, but it depends where you at what point in life you are at. You know, that's the key, because some people, you know, they do not care about the one because they just want to party, or sometimes they had the one, they got divorced, and right now mentally they're not there. You know, so they don't want the one no more. They're looking for just friends and just having fun. Or for younger people in their 20s, you know, they don't believe in old school values. They believe in, you know, having different women, and, you know, they don't even care about marriage anymore. It's about business for them. You know, so it depends on where you at with it, how you believe. What do you believe in? There's more kids that don't believe in God nowadays than anything. They always say higher being. So obviously, the whole thing of marriage is not up their lane. You know, so having one person to them is not their reality. You know, but if you teach them, you know, and if they come from that environment of having 2-parent homes, then it definitely become about the one. So your environment definitely shapes you.
Definitely plays a part in that, right?
So, yes, definitely.
Shout out to VC, my beautiful wife who just came on the stage. This is her first time using the app. So V, you gotta press mute unless you want to talk, because I hear a lot in the background. But I also want to welcome Amicia to the stage. Amicia, do you have a opinion on the topic? What you think, sis?
First of all, what's up, y'all? I haven't seen y'all in so long.
Yeah, what's up, girl?
Secondly, I actually see my friend. Hey, I see my friend Patrick in the room. I think he will have a lot to contribute as well.
Right, I invited him up. Come on, Pat.
So I know he has a lot to say about this topic. Him and my friend Michelle, I've known them since before they were married, but you know, they're so such a great couple. The topic of the one is kind of controversial to me because there's a part of me that has this understanding of God giving us free will and choice that sort of makes me wonder whether we have many choices as to who we could choose, or if there is just this one person. Because if there was just this one person and that person married someone else, case in point, does that mean that I could never end up with someone? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think a lot of it comes down to just your own personal development process, and whether or not you're preparing yourself adequately. And I think that when you really become ruthless about your personal and spiritual development, you start to attract many people that could potentially be the one. But what I would say as well is Charles Spurgeon. Shout out to my theologians who know Charles Spurgeon. But he said something that I thought really fits this topic. He said that discernment is not merely knowing the difference between right and wrong. Discernment is knowing the difference between right and almost right. And I've seen so many people around me, you know, end up in marriages that were almost right, but it was wrong. You know what I mean? So I'm really, really cautious, almost to the level of being fearful in terms of choosing a one. But I think that my job right now is just to continue to be committed to my personal and spiritual development. And then if there is a one, then I think God will send me that one. Or if there are many people that I could choose from, then I think that those people will continue to be attracted to me.
Go ahead, girl.
Yes, God. Yes, God.
Nice.
For that, Amicia. You already know.
Nice. Go ahead, Gina. You was going to say something?
I was going to say, exactly what she just said is exactly how my mindset was. But like Curtis, I prayed for my future husband, and he showed up when I wasn't expecting him to. Literally, probably within a couple of weeks. It was so crazy. I literally prayed specifically about who I wanted to meet and what I was looking for, and someone I was ready to actually grow with and build with. And literally, out of nowhere, I spotted him when I was in the middle of having a conversation with, I traveled to come to my step-grandmother's funeral. So I wasn't thinking about love and different things like that. And the joke is she always was trying to get me with somebody who she thought deserved me, and make sure I had a man that's gonna be supportive of me and not like using me and stuff like that. So it's ironic that when I came for her funeral, I met him out of the blue. You know what I mean? It wasn't something I was expecting. And I had those same views where, I was like, again, I struggled about the idea of monogamy because, I think we can love multiple people, but I still think there's the one person that we just know our spirits are meant to collide with, And like I said, I thought exactly the same way until I met my fiance. And we had that distance, we had a couple months where we didn't talk to each other, and we just kept coming back to, no, we don't want to be with anyone else but each other. Right? And like I said, we spoke about marriage the first day that we met, and it had nothing to do with either of us forcing it. It just seemed very natural to us that we were meant to be together.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead, D.
I think that's Amicia and Curtis kind of underscored what I was saying earlier. I think it's the maturity that we have to arrive to actually ask God. I think that's a part of our walk and the experience as we're on the phone now. A lot of times we spent many hours talking to our friends, talking to everybody else around this subject, and not talking to God. And I think because Curtis's experience is very similar to my own, right? When I finally put pen to paper and committed that list to God, I found KK. And technically she was right in front of me.
You found a good thing.
Technically, I know.
I was trying to be a good thing. I know you was, girl.
Whatever.
I was on the other side of the track.
The funny thing is, and the thing is, to speak to that, God had to get her ready for me, right? Like, so that our timing was right. Because technically, I already knew Kalila. She was already in front of me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we were friends. We were cool. We were kicking it. She was dating somebody. I was dating someone. I was actually getting ready to get married to someone, right?
Whoa.
So even when
she wasn't one.
No,
it was multiple ones. Two ones showed up, so I got to pick which one out of the multiple ones.
That is the point that Amicia made.
Two ones make $2.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point that Amicia made about the almost one. Right, the good, the difference between the good and the best, and
the counterfeit before the real.
Hold on. Okay, guys.
Okay, Kalila. I want to flex on us, girl.
I might as well let her tell the rest of the story because she got feelings about this one.
Web, she got all the language for you, Web. She got all the language.
I know. Every time I bring up the almost, that's when she get real talking.
She was one, and she's 1A and 1B, huh?
1A, 1B. But I mean, I just said like that level of maturity that actually, I think that's what God wants from us, is to get to the point where we start talking to everybody else and actually ask Him, like, what do you want from me? What actually, my life, my heart, where I'm going, where I'm supposed to go. Can you help me with this conversation? Can you help me with this decision? Because I'm talking to my friends and I love them and they want what's best for me, but their sight is limited. They don't know everything about me. They actually only know what I tell them. So a lot of times our friends are trying to counsel us and they're like, you holding back. They don't know how jacked up you are. You know what I'm saying? Like if they only knew the depth of your issues, they might even counsel you different. Say, you know what? Nah, you need to chill, fam. Like, you're not good. You need to get good. You need to, like, really work on those issues before you go troubling over somebody's life. You know what I'm saying?
That is so true. And even your friends don't know God's timing. So sometimes they'll just push you with somebody because they're tired of seeing you alone, but they don't know that it's not in alignment with God's timing.
I also want to add that I had to work through some things on myself and some of my own toxic traits and recognize that there were some changes I needed to make for myself. And I'll see a lot of friends that they want everyone perfect, but they're not willing to work on themselves too. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And once you're willing to work on yourself, because you want to be good for that person too, and you have to be strong enough to say, because I even said, like, I had to take a few steps back because I didn't want to overwhelm him with some of the things that I was overcoming. You know, I dealt with like workplace harassment and stuff like that. And, you know, a lot of emotions involved with that, and, you know, grief and all the different things. And I didn't want to have someone as my crutch. You know, I wanted to make sure that I felt pretty whole to be able to give back and be that person they needed as well. Yes. And I see a lot of people, they want Mr. Perfect, Mr. Right, but they don't want to change anything. You know, I have friends that don't want to give up their freedom of traveling everywhere and clubbing and doing all different things. And they think it's okay to go hanging out with certain guy friends, whatever. A dude doesn't want his wife to be doing that. You know what I mean? Like, you got to make those changes. You know, you can have freedom to an extent, but you also have to have that respect for that person, you know, and they want everyone else to change for them, but they don't want to change for themselves, and they don't want to change for that person.
That is so good. And I think a large part of that as well is, especially with women, the way that we're socialized to sort of be more male identified from the time we're young, right? We're given Barbie, but then we have to have Ken. You know, all of the Disney movies, what makes it successful is that the princess finds the prince. And so, like, I think for a lot of women, we become so focused on, like, you know, having a man, and we think about, like, that person filling our emotional needs, but we don't think about who we would need to become in order to be fully present for that person and their emotional needs. And I don't really see people having conversations about that. You know, a lot of my friends who are really excited, like, I want to say, like, anxious about getting married, a lot of it involves, well, I don't want to be lonely. Or, you know, I want to be able to do this or that thing with a person. They're not really thinking like, oh, this person was coming into your life. They've had traumas. They've had pains. They've had disappointments. They've had past experiences. How healed are you that you would be able to be a helpmate for that person? Because your own healing is going to be your ceiling. Like, you can't go any farther than where you have
write
healed
that down.
from.
Hold up. T-shirt.
No,
T-shirt. T-shirt.
But no, you know, like, I think that what Gina said is so important, that we really have to become serious about our own healing process, because when we're meeting someone else, and this person, even if this person is the one, they're going to come with some stuff. And are we even going to be ready to be present with what that person is carrying if we're only, like, kind of romanticizing the idea of being with somebody so that they can, like, fill our emotional needs?
It's actually not just what's there, it's actually what's also going to be there. You don't know what you don't know.
That's important. When you talk about marriage, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing. What you just mentioned is not knowing about, like, what's there at that moment, but what is going to come. Because one thing about it is, like, you're not going to get everything out. Like, you know, the transparency you may think is there in the beginning, and everything is lovely and roses and stuff like that, though. But as we get older and as we continue to grow, and I believe Larry had mentioned this early on when he first started this chat room right now, it's just like, it's who you're going to become in the process. Like, you're not the same. The way you were when you were 25 is not the way you are going to be when you're 35. And by the time you're 40, you know, you're going to be a whole new different person. You have to kind of relearn and understand a little bit more about your spouse or your significant other. And you're going to have to discover those things, and you have to kind of teach yourself all over again. It's like you're dating. You may find yourself feeling like you're dating a whole new person, because, you know, they're going through different things. They're not at the same level. So you have to be able to understand that, are you willing and are you ready to take that ride with that person? And it's not just about the here and now. Like, yes, you know, everyone wants to have a big wedding. Everyone wants to, you know, feel all of that stuff. But it's about the work that you have to do after you are married. I mean, after you have the wedding, it's the work, and constantly understanding and loving that person regardless, you know, or in spite of. Those are the things that yes, you're absolutely right, Misia, that we don't talk about a lot. So, like,
go girl.
Finding the one, like, that's why it's like, I don't even believe, like, the one is like, all right, cool. Like, okay, he's the one, but let me see if he's going to be the one throughout all of these years. Like, that is what we need to kind of think about, not in that moment.
So, Derek, you got to keep being the one. Like, you're the one now, but you got to keep being the one, bro. Like, don't slack up. You got to keep.
Let me just tell you. It's a discovery, fam. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
wow, that's dope. That's dope.
My initial understanding of what marriage was, it was very skewed, bro. It's like, yo, you think this is just set up for you, and what you don't realize is you're a part of a process that God ordained to make the two of you one, to build a family, to build a generation. That means a lot of work has to happen. It's not just so that you can enjoy your boo and be booed up. So the process of like rediscovering your spouse when you go through something. When Kay and I talk about this all the time, we look at a picture that's sitting literally on our mantle with the two of us shortly after our first date at CCC, and we looking like two young people that just don't know what we in danger. We don't know. Y'all was still cute though. Y'all was still cute. You know what I mean? And we look at that
like they have no idea.
We say like, "Yo, where was your head at in that moment? What was going on? What was you thinking?" And I'm like, "I wasn't thinking nothing. I wasn't thinking nothing. I didn't think none of this was going to get ready to go down." You know what I'm saying?
I was just trying to touch your butt. That's what I was thinking. If I'm be honest, I was just trying to touch his butt.
Right, you know, and when you really get into this thing and to what it really is. We're playing Larry on timeout. No, he's right.
I'm being real. Thank you, Wes.
No, Larry knows. But when you really get into this thing, man, and you really realize like it's not about me. It's not, you know, although I do have needs, I'm not to say that you don't have needs. But to that point where Khalil was talking about, like, the person that you're with is going through something, growing through something, as Coach likes to say, right? They are becoming a person in real time. It's not the person that you were with 10 years ago, 15 years ago. They are becoming a real person. So what you're looking for is the character of that individual. Those things don't change. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like if you're really trying to find someone you're gonna ride with till these wheels come off, it's about the character of the individual. Because trust me, a lot of stuff is gonna change. The exterior is gonna change. You know, even if you judge it by their demeanor, you don't know. Sometimes their demeanor is affected by stuff that's going on that you have no idea. And the question is, if you think, "Oh, she's not the one because she ain't acting right," well, that's immaturity on you. You don't even know what could be going on. Something serious could be going on. You know what I'm saying? But because you're so immature, you're like, "Oh, she's not acting right. I don't feel good. So, maybe she's not the right one, Lord. Maybe you should send another." Like, that's the problem with Christians right now. You feel me? And heaven forbid God treats us like that. You know, in our sometime ways and how we act. Like, heaven forbid he's just like, "Yo, he ain't acting right. I'm gonna just let him chill on the roadside." Like, that's not how it's supposed to work. So,
and bro, that's so good, because it's like, one of the things that I'm learning and just it's like, yo, you have to remain humble in this marriage thing. You know what I mean? Because the minute you become judgmental and you start trying to keep the score, and it's like you all your focus is on the other person shortcomings, and like you're not looking at yours that are glaring and that are contributing to the situation, like you begin to sabotage what's going on. Like, yo, your stuff don't smell good either. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like we all have to realize what we bring to the table. And like you said, like if it's a true partnership, like and the other thing is, like, you got to be able to have those hard discussions. Sometimes you have to have those tough discussions, and you got to be able to receive from your wife whatever she got to tell you about yourself. You know what I mean? And be able to sit there and like understand what she is saying, even though to you it's like, but because you know your intentions, and it's like, but I wasn't even trying to do that, but this is how it came across. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to address those things and from a place of humility. So I just wanted to piggyback on what y'all was saying in terms of like, yo, that development process, that growing process, like, you know, your mindset has to be humble, because at the end of the day, as much as you're trying to develop, you don't have it all together. You know what I mean? And this person is trying to develop. They don't have it all together. So,
it doesn't
like,
stop, though. It doesn't stop. That's it. It's continuous.
To add to that, though, you need to make your boundaries very clear, because I think, especially as females, we tend to let certain things slide. when it's not serving us either. And, you know, I've seen men do the same thing just because they want to be that perfect person and not like, you know, cause any confrontation or anything like that. And I'm not saying fight. I think you should, like, here's an example. Just recently, my other half saw I wasn't sleeping. He thought something was wrong that I wasn't sharing with him. The man didn't sleep all night either. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, because he was that concerned about what my feelings were and everything like that. And we just have to make sure that, you know, we are very clear about, like, sometimes I just get into that space and I'm in a zone and I feel like something's off and it's not necessarily him. It's like, I'm just an empath. So I just feel different things. And you just have to be very clear. So the other person's not feeling like, what is it that what they did? You know what I mean? You have to be clear about, sometimes you get in the mood, you know what I mean? And not take it out on that person. So like I said, acknowledging our toxic traits, but as well as setting boundaries, because if somebody's continuously doing something, you know, that they're taking advantage of something or taking you for granted, you know, you got to communicate that. Because even recently, having these conversations that I had with a friend of mine, she just, you know, her second marriage just didn't work out. And, you know, there was a lot of things where her husband was becoming very dependent on her and not really pulling his weight. And she let it slide just because she wanted that person around, but they weren't doing it, you know? So I think it's just all around looking at ourselves, looking at them, but being very honest with each other, having those conversations more than once, you know, and just kind of nipping it in the bud. And again, having a disagreement doesn't have to turn into a fight, you know? It's just a time where you just need to talk.
Word. For real. Yeah, I mean, so yo, shout out to Heather in the room. What up, Heather? I see you down in the audience. Yes, if you want to come on up, you can pull up, girl. You can pull up if you would like. Yo, I want to ask this final question. Because we talked, I think some of the things that came out in this conversation were just like so cool in terms of, you know, as much as we want to discover the one, are you doing the work to become the one? You know what I'm saying? Are you doing the internal work in yourself to become that which you desire? You know what I mean? So there is a level of self-development, self-growth, self-awareness that, you know, should happen. My question to you, to the room is, what would you tell someone who has felt like they've gone through that process, has felt like, you know, I've prayed and I've asked, but I'm not seeing the results necessarily? Like, what encouragement would you give to that person while they're on that journey of finding, whether it's one or multiple ones, or being in a place to receive somebody? Like what would you tell that person who's on that journey or in that process?
I would say focus on happiness first. Focus on your happiness and taking those right steps. Because if you're not happy first, you're never going to be able to add anything to someone else's life. And make sure that you get help wherever you need it. If you're having some emotional trauma, you know, like I said, if you have your own toxic traits, that you start working on that. And you have to realize you don't have to be perfect either, right? But at the same time, you got to focus on what's going to make you happy and how you can make someone else happy. And the rest will fall in line. Because like I've said before, like I've had some friends in particular, and I've had to kind of put them in their place, because they'll be like, they basically think they're perfect. And they think they got the right job, they got the right career, like they're doing someone a favor by being with them. And I was like, as much as you think you're perfect, there's other people that are just as great, doing great things. You know, if you're this perfect, you're still by yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, maybe you need to realize that instead of continuously taking out a ruler, trying to see if this person measures up, are you humble enough to work and grow with somebody? Because it's not just about, oh, he has to be exactly here. You know, like my other half and I, we talk a lot about working on what we want to work on and growing. You know what I mean? Together. Doing something together. You know, I've had, you know, people that made millions. I have people that have all-star rings. I mean, have championship rings and stuff like that in my life. But did they make me happy in the long run, or did it become an ego situation? You know what I mean? It's a matter of what are they giving back? Like my daughter's father is financially very established, and he doesn't contribute to my daughter whatsoever. You know what I mean? So, you know, I think the way I met my husband to be, I mean, he was working on different things with his career. And I think some girls just would have been like, oh, but he's not doing this like that one. And I know where he's going. And I know his vision because as an entrepreneur, I was there too, trying to figure out certain things. And it's not a matter of like, he even took a few steps back because he wanted to do some personal growth. Like we both had periods where we stepped back from each other for us to have our own personal growth journey. And that's why we're where we are now, because we allowed each other to do that and we still found our way back to each other.
Nice.
So yeah, focus on your happiness and developing yourself first before you try to put that on someone else.
And Gina, I think you kind of touched on something that also amplifies what Derek was talking about earlier when he was talking about how people kind of give up when they're not necessarily feeling all the things that they want to feel, rather than just wondering, well, hey, is something going on with this person or what's going on? And I wanted to kind of touch on the fact that our society is such a pleasure-driven society, like aggressively pleasure-driven society, that the idea of suffering, you know, with someone or going through something with someone is not something that is like a cultural value. It's almost countercultural. So it's like, oh, this person's not making you happy. Go find somebody to make you happy.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that that's why, you know, at this time, more than ever, it's harder to find someone who has that marriage mindset is because we're not really being socialized to do that. Whereas our grandparents, our great-grandparents, they were the ones that were staying together forever.
Right.
And they went through all types of things in those marriages. They went through things we can't even imagine going through. You know what I mean? But it's because they had that mindset of like, I can delay my temporary pleasure to build something that's so much more important than me. Like Derek said, like legacy, like those types of things.
I would say for those who are looking to, you know, if you're young, like Derek always say, Christian singles, or if you're just a single, I say, go, you know, put yourself out there, go out there, date. Be open to just dating different people, meeting different people. I didn't say, you know, dating is different from, you know, actually going.
We know.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Dating, having fun, meeting people, learning new things. Like, I just feel like a lot of people, they don't, especially younger, I don't know, the younger generation, they stay in these long-term relationships. And then, you know, some of the relationships have become very toxic, and they stay because they feel like, you know, there's no one else out there for them. And, you know, I have a lot of young women that are in their 20s. And that's one thing that I try to encourage them. I say, listen, you know, you're young enough where, listen, you don't have to be in a toxic relationship. You don't have to stay in this relationship because you feel like there's nobody else out there. I said, you have to love yourself. And that's another thing I would tell people is like, self-love is important. And self-love is knowing, you know, how is having enough respect for yourself to say, listen, I'm not going to tolerate and be in certain relationships just to be in them, you know? So I always say, go and have fun, meet new people, learn new things, date different people. And then after you do that, you'll know exactly what you want, what's for you and what's not for you. And then you can start taking more of a serious approach and be more intentional about who you're dating. I always say when you're dating, this is how I used to, you know, before I got married, I dated and I let people know, hey, I'm dating to get a chance to know you. Like, there's no committed relationship here. We're hanging out. And I feel like a lot of people, if they're more upfront about that, then you let your guards down. You're not so tense to say, to figure out, oh my gosh, is this the right one or not? But you're open to learning more about that person, and they're open to learning more about you. And then you may find, hey, this is not going to be a good match. And then you can leave and be and understand, right? You don't have to be tied up in a relationship, right? You could be like, you know what? This may not be the one. Or so then you can move on and talk to other people. But I think people don't do that as much as they used to. So, you know, I would just say that for those who are looking to try to figure out like where they're at when it comes to their relationship and trying to find the one, I put that in quotations, you know, just explore a little bit more.
Well, being a single woman who's 30 in the old, some people say mid to older range, I find that like I'm dating now. And I find that it's harder for me because you're right. Everyone is so conditioned to just want to be happy that the second that some kind of, tense moment in the relationship happens, the person's ready to split. But that's not what being the one is. To love someone is a choice. Yes, there are things that go along with that, attraction and, being on each other's wavelengths, but to actually just choose to love somebody, that you got to wake up every day and be like, look, this is my one. And I'm going to stick it through with this person because they fit for me. And I just actually ended a relationship on the same thing that Khalila was saying, because I saw that, yes, he was a great guy, but we wanted different things at the end of the day. So I knew he wasn't my one. I said it to him when we decided to part ways. I said, you know how you can get a FedEx delivery, but it got the wrong address? You open it up and it could be the perfect package, but it ain't for you. So everyone's going to find that person that fits them best. There's no perfect fit, but who fits you best? And do you want to continuously be with this person, from here until most say till, death do us part?
Yeah. And another thing I wanted to say is, like, one thing I always thought about, even before I got into this relationship, I would look at, like, I know this is going to sound kind of morbid, but, like, I would see how a spouse is at, like, a funeral and stuff like that. And it's just kind of like, you have to realize we don't know what's going to happen in this life. Or losing a parent like I have and different things like that. Like, when someone's going through grief and different things like that, we want to know that this person's going to love us through the good and bad, literally. We need to know that at any point something can shift our lives. Are we going to be able to work through the unexpected, in our lives? And this is what I was saying. I saw, like, a friend of mine lost a child, unfortunately. And when they're grieving, like, I've seen couples split when they've lost a child because they know that child is what held them together. Is this person, through the good times and bad times, are they going to be solid for you no matter what life throws at you? And that's kind of like the biggest thing that I've really thought about. Can your love sustain everything?
Right, because life will throw some roller coasters, and it's just like, whoa, like, where'd that come from? And it's like, can you both weather that storm? And I mean that's so true. Like, when we talk about really being the one, and also being a part of someone else's one, to go through those different turmoils, man. Like, and prayers and condolences to your friends who lost their child. I do have a question on Facebook that I don't want to ignore. Shout out to Amanda on Facebook. She said, what is your advice about dating someone who isn't a believer? So she is a Christian young lady, and she's asking to the room, what is your advice about dating someone who isn't a believer?
That actually came on point because I was actually thinking about that as you were closing up, in terms of, like, how important it is that you and that person be in the same space and moving in the same direction spiritually. I think relationships are so multidimensional. It's not just about, okay, is that person attracted to me? Cool, that's a check. Do our personalities mesh? Check. Do they come from a good home? Do they, have a good job? Do they believe in family? Check. But that issue about what they believe about God and why they think they're here and what they believe they're supposed to do with their life, that is so monumental. And whether they say that they believe something, to not believe something is a belief. So the reality of it is that you're about to latch your life to someone that does not fundamentally believe or have the same foundation of values that you do. And even though you guys vibe and all those other things that are surface, trust me, that very rooted thing that we're talking about, faith and what we believe, comes to the forefront. It will rear its not even ugly head. It will rear its head in the most critical of moments. And it goes back to what I was talking about before. Like, I just this is a funny conversation to me because I'm literally thinking about the vows me and Kate took. And like, if you had asked me real talk, I can't even remember what I said. I have to go watch the video. You know what I mean? I said something. She believed me, obviously. She believed me, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And you've been living up to it, whatever it was.
And that's what it is. It's not.
Larry
not
was there. He was the host.
Words.
That's right.
The hell you were there, bro?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's not the words. I remember asking Pastor Pettis to come because I remember seeing him give a charge to the man at someone else's wedding. And I was like, oh, snap, that's dope. I want him to come and talk to me just like that, right? And then when I watched the video and I watched what this dude said to me, like, he spoke directly to what I believe. He's told me, like, what you believe is going to be Khalila's foundation. So you can't be a wishy-washy dude. Like, you got to know what you're doing because now she's entrusting her life in your hands. And it's so powerful that you can't attach your life, this very important, precious life that God has given you, to someone that isn't rooted in something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that is a recipe for disaster. And I would say it's another one of those examples where you can have a choice that's good, but not the best. You can love on people, you can respect them, but when it comes to this covenant of marriage that we believe God gave us for a purpose, right? That it is meant to be with someone who shares the same foundation of faith as you do. Otherwise, it's a legal exercise, and we already know what happens with those legal exercises because those contracts can be broken. Covenants are not meant to be broken, but contracts are broken, and that's why we see a lot of divorces and marriages end up back in the courtroom because that's what it is. It's just a contract. Let's just let's just figure out how to do the separation agreement and all that other stuff. That's legal. Covenant is like, no, I love you from before the world began. And so that's not going to change. That's not going to die. And my love means that I'm not going to just love you conditionally. I'm loving you unconditionally. That means that, we may not speak for weeks on a time, but that doesn't mean I'm going to leave. It doesn't mean that, like, I'm not going to, like, love the totality of who you are. Just because you're not hitting my groove in this one area. It's more than that. So I do feel very strongly about that because we have watched some accidents waiting to happen. Just as a couple, people come to us and ask us all the time, and then we'll look at the situation. And when this one we clear on, we can have debates about everything. But if you come and you tell us like, yo, the dude I'm with don't believe what I believe, or the lady I'm with, she don't believe what I would be like, nope, don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself.
No doubt. Yo, that's sound advice. Listen,
go ahead, E.
No,
I was just going to say to that point as well, because you had also asked the question of what advice you would give. And so this hits on that. And then also what Derek was saying about being unequally yoked. Because I think a lot of times when people think about marriage, it's just like, oh, I want someone to grow old with, or I want someone to love me, and then you can choose anybody, if that's the case. But I think like the more you really are clear on what it is that you want, the more specific you can get. I know for me, I was actually beefing with God about marriage because he sent all these prophets to prophesy marriage to me. And I'm like, yo, get out my face. Like, I'm really trying to build an empire. And so like I ended up like going to God, like, what is it? Like, what is the block in my heart about marriage? And he showed me that my standard for marriage is my parents' marriage. So my parents had an amazing marriage, literally stayed together till death did them part. My mom had a child before she met my dad. My dad had 5 children before he met my mom. His wife died. And then they got together, and for some reason they couldn't have children. But because they couldn't have children, they ended up adopting me. They adopted my 5 younger siblings. They kept about 14 foster children that I can count, you know? Wow. And they had what I call a missional marriage. I look at Kalila and Derek as like my contemporary model of what a missional marriage looks like. But like, that's the only type of marriage that I want. I don't just want somebody we watching Netflix and eating cheese doodles together. I could do that by myself. You know, if I can't take on something with you that can build the kingdom and change the world, then I don't want it. So that also informs my selection process. So I think that you need to get clear on what it is that you're looking for.
That's good, E. Wow. 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 Wow.
That's amazing.
Wow. Wow. I listen, I want to thank everybody for joining this discussion. This was me and my brother was talking about, just hosting a discussion and hoping some friends are tagging. So I want to thank everybody for tagging in. We're going to look to do more of these probably on Sundays and everything. So definitely follow everybody, connect with everybody, follow me. I'm following everybody. And I believe discussions like this, especially in the realm of for us as believers, need to be had. You know what I mean? Like, we know about church on Sunday and what happens with that, but people are looking for real talk, real discussions from real people that are relevant and practical. You know what I mean? And I believe that this is a forum in which we could do that. So I want to shout out to everybody who was here. I'm gonna close out. I'm gonna say just a quick prayer. Lord, thank you, Lord, for today. Thank you for tonight. I thank you for each person who is here tonight. Lord, bless us in our different journeys. Lord God, help us to keep you as our compass, as our focus, because when it comes down to there being the one, you're the one. You're the one who our affections and our heart should be set on, so we could actually walk this life and figure out what you have for us. So I ask that you bless each person during this week. Help them to see you as the one as they live their life and make time for you as the one as they go through life. Thank you again, Lord, for today. Bless each and every one of us and bless the dinner we're going to receive in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Later, y'all.
All right, y'all be blessed. Amen. Later. Bye. Woo-hoo-hoo.